Hi, this is Sam. Welcome to BNS About Movies. I'm here today with my friend Jenn Upton, who, through the magic of the interweb, is the whole way from England while I am snow-covered in Monaga. Hey, Jen, welcome to the show.
Hey, thanks for having me, Sam.
And we're doing a new series of films here where I'm bringing on a lot of my friends to talk about movies that are important to them. And for some reason, other people hate them. This is a problem with me because I champion a lot of movies that people are like, why?
Yeah, me too.
Yeah. So I'm excited. So Jeff, first things first, someone's listening to this for the first time. Hopefully they know about you, and they should, but, if not, why don't you tell the listeners how, a little about yourself.
Yeah, I'm an American living just outside, a few yards outside the borders of Greater London. I wrote a book a couple years ago, a small book about, it's called Japanese Cult Cinema, the Best of the Second Golden Age. There's a lot of stuff in there, some Godzilla Millennium, Ring, stuff like that. And I've got a website called JennUptonWriter.com where I do writing and proofreading and editing projects, freelance. And occasionally I'm on with you and Bill Van Ryn on Driving Asylum. Other podcasts that I do regularly are Japan on Film. Just recorded an episode of that with Percival. The episode will be Yakuza Apocalypse. And my first episode of my podcast, thecinemajunction.com, will be recorded this coming Friday. I know this is evergreen, but the first episode, it will probably drop a week or so later. Phil from Phil on Cinema will be my first guest, and we're going to be discussing the Pope of Greenwich Village. And the idea of the Cinema Junction is the main stop on the train line is the film. And we take branch lines to talk about tangential. So Pope of Greenwich Village, we'll probably talk about Mickey Rourke's career, Eric Roberts' career, probably the writer, the director, maybe a bit about Greenwich Village itself. And because we always go off on tangents on the podcasts where I'm a guest on Phil's shows. And he said, this would be a great idea. And I thought, yeah, we kind of put it in a structured kind of thing. So,
well, Jen, tell us what movie you picked.
Well, you put the call out to defend films that most people don't like, and I picked Twin Peaks: Fire Walk with Me.
There is no other person who could have known where it was.
Did Bobby give you this? Or is there someone new?
Your Laura disappeared. It's just me now. You made me write it all down.
Don't do that. She doesn't like that. How do you know what she likes? Who am I?
I don't know.
You look just like my Laura. Don't make me do this!
In 2026 is kind of coming back around. People now are recognizing it for what it is, which is a very, very good film. But when it came out, I didn't see it in the theater. I waited until I'd finished the series. But I think my memory of it was the first opening weekend was all the newspaper articles, and everyone who saw it said it was terrible, said it was unwatchable. And it made me curious because I thought, how can it be unwatchable if the show is so loved? Finished the whole first series. Then I saw the movie and I thought, okay, if you went in cold, that makes sense that maybe I wouldn't still say it wasn't unwatchable, but it doesn't make any sense unless you've seen the show. Yeah, it was booed at the Cannes Film Festival, the SEPA Festival.
Yeah.
But David Lynch, till his dying day, defended this movie and said, I think it was a good movie, and I think it was beautiful, and I think it was crucial to understanding Laura's pain.
Fire Walk with Me wasn't well received by most of the Twin Peaks fans because it didn't have, they said, the same humor or, lightheartedness as the series. And I can understand that, but it was Laura Palmer's life, and that wasn't a pleasant life, a lot of it.
And it is a gateway to The Return, to Twin Peaks: The Return. So people that saw The Return without seeing the first series or the film would be equally as lost. And now that he has passed away and we have that body of work in that world, it's almost like it's one long piece of fiction.
Would you think that people were hoping that this movie, like the second season ended with a cliffhanger and the whole, if you haven't seen Twin Peaks, God, everybody here has seen Twin Peaks.
Spoilers. Yeah.
Yes. Is it a spoiler?
Yeah.
Yeah. But you're like, oh, well, we're finally going to find out at the end of season 2. Not only, like, even when this is what I love about the show, because I don't think David Lynch ever really had an idea of who did it, because that's not really important. The idea of the Twin Peaks itself and the people within it and just the weirdness that exists there. I grew up, I'm sure you did too, because I know where you grew up. Like, my hometown is very Twin Peaks.
Same. We even have Girl Disappear. Yeah, we'll talk about that.
Without a logging industry, no logging industry to speak of, all the mills had closed. So I think if you grew up with that, like all the weird people are like, oh, this show's just weird for weirdness' sake. Like, no, I've lived in these places. Like,
Did you go to school with a Laura Palmer? I did. Well, also, but I knew a girl who was very much like Laura Palmer. And we actually, not the same girl, but we had another girl that was, to this day, we haven't solved her murder.
I dated a girl in college that was a lot like Laura Palmer, but did not disappear. If that makes sense. Like, she worked in, God, this is a horrible story. I have a couple horrible stories about this movie, which I'm sure you'll enjoy. She worked at a Kmart whenever she had her off time at school, and all the old dudes at Kmart would pay for her to take Polaroids of her, like, in like Urban Claw style photos. And they would get the lingerie from the Kmart, have her wear it, and then put it back on the shelf. And like one time, like when we first started dating, she brought out this book of Polaroids and showed me. And I was like, I did not expect this. Also, like, I'm super shy, and even in college, I didn't date at all in high school. And like this 6 foot tall goth girl suddenly like calling my house to talk to me. Like, she found my number, and then all of a sudden, like, she springs off this book of this to me. And it's like, I think when nerdy quasi-incel dudes like me are confronted by a Laura Palmer, it's terrifying. Like, you're like, oh, this is everything I've watched. I've watched so many Jolly. Now I'm in one, and I don't like it. Like, it's very upsetting.
Very upsetting.
So you had somebody that was like doing that, like, was.
And one of the girls, and I was not close with her. She was 2 years younger than me, but I knew some of the people that she hung around with. And they were the rich people in town.
Yeah.
And that being the one big hotel, not even big, this little hotel restaurant that's on the one street, that family was the richest in town. And those people in that circle. And she worked at the little, like a Quickie Mart type place, little gas station out in the middle of nowhere. Went to work Easter Sunday morning. I forget what year, 90 or 91. Disappeared. Hasn't been seen since. Local news. They've done documentaries that won Emmys about this girl. If anybody is interested, look up the Heidi Allen case. Now it's been discovered that she was a narc. She was giving information to the local sheriff. Somebody found out, and they disappeared her.
Yeah.
But the way she got in, because she was hanging out with all these kids that were in the coke ring. It was like, there was a lot of bad shit, and people think, oh, this cute little town, I'm driving through it. Look at the little church spire. No, it's dark. Yeah. There's an underbelly. And to this day, we don't know where her remains are.
Yeah. Blue Velvet is very... getting the Lynch, like, is very much feels like my hometown, because there's this like, oh yeah, this is America, this is middle America, or near a major city. You're from upstate New York area.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Tiny little town. Yeah.
And this is like, I'm from a town maybe directly between Youngstown, Ohio, and Pittsburgh, and it's like, you would go through it, you'd be like, oh, that's a cute little town. Like, that's what I love about Blue Velvet, and which kind of builds into Twin Peaks. But you find an ear in a field. Like, well, how did this ear get here? Oh, there's Frank Booth and there's all these maniacs.
Let's anything that moves.
My mom is like my conduit to this, where like, if you start to talk to her, she will just randomly bring up people that have died in horrifying ways in conversations. And you're like,
Yeah.
what? Like,
And a lot of them are accidents, quote unquote. And you go, well, isn't it funny how all the people who have industrial accidents work for the same guy who owns the same gravel company?
why did my downtown, almost every business burn down within like a 2-year period?
Oh, it happened twice in my town in a 5-year period.
Yeah.
Twice. Main Street's gone.
The arcade burned down downtown. I remember being really upset. My dad's like, well, you got to expect these things.
I had another good story about guns. In high school, I had a good friend who's a headbanger, heavy metal kid. Good kid. Came from a broken home and had 2 jobs, worked his ass off. Really good kid. He got a job washing dishes at one of the little restaurants, one of the little cafes. And he came in one day and we always had lunch together. And he's just staring down at his food. I'm like, what's the matter? He goes, they asked me to do some extra work. I said, oh yeah? Because the guy called me into the back office. He goes, yeah, you're a good kid, He puts this little cardboard box on the table and he goes, take this, deliver it to this address for me. They're going to give you a box. He goes, just bring it back. Yeah, I'll give you a little something, because I know you come from a poor family. He goes, oh, okay. And Rob was a smart kid. He goes, this is something ain't right. They were running guns out of the kitchen. It was before you could buy an AR-15 at Walmart. It was in the old days when we actually had a little bit of gun control. It was like, and the serial numbers were scraped off. And I go, are you going to keep doing this? And he goes, well, I don't have a choice now.
That's how they get you in.
Yeah. And he goes, and then eventually he got a job, and then he went to college and became a teacher. So he got, but he was scared shitless, 16-year-old kid,
That's like, as an Italian kid, that's like getting to play for the Pirates, like,
yeah,
to be in the mob. Like, okay, I finally made it. Also, as an Italian, I'm here to tell you there's no such thing as the mafia.
No.
It's all been, I'm like the people that protested the Untouchables. Like, it's.
Yeah, no. I'm not saying, it was just like, we're like, none of us said a word. We were all like, yeah, we fully believe everything you're saying. Anyway, why I love it is I think Sheryl Lee's performance is brilliant. I think she's fantastic in this movie. A lot of people were upset that Laura Flynn Boyle didn't come back and play Donna. Do you know why she didn't? Was she just doing something else or scheduled?
Yeah, that's a great question. I wonder that myself.
I wonder if it was a money thing, because she was sort of starting to become a bigger star at that point. And
wasn't she dating Jack Nicholson around that time too?
Yes, she was. But I thought Moira Kelly did fine. Terrifying, this movie, and it's scary and it's tragic and sad and a very accurate portrayal of PTSD. Well, that was probably PTSD inducing, just making that movie.
She was unable to commit due to scheduling conflicts with her role in Mark Rocco's film Where the Day Takes You, alongside Kyle MacLachlan, which seems weird. And yes, and I was completely right. She was also Wayne's World, also was scheduled at the same time.
Hi, Garth.
Hi.
I'm looking for Wayne. I'm very concerned about him. He seems to be going through this difficult phase right now. You know what I think it is?
That you're mental?
You know him best. What do you think I should do?
Just get over it. Go out with somebody else.
Get over it. Go out with somebody else. Yeah, thanks. Okay, great.
And the crime film Equinox.
But yeah, I think Lynch taps into a lot of stuff that's just the duality of man and humans, and how we're capable of great things and a lot of empathy and kindness, and we're also capable of horrendous things. And
maybe we recorded 30 minutes of this that got cut off, and we don't know where we're at because this is professional work. But you also said that like a lot of this feels really authentic to the experience.
Yeah. To the experience of trauma. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And the characters feel, even though they're obviously older than the characters they're playing, everyone does a good job. It's just, yeah. And I do wish there had been more Agent Cooper. I'm not going to lie.
Well, he's my favorite part of the show. So I think the other thing too is the TV show. I'm going to be repeating some stuff that'll come out in the edit, but,
yeah.
And sorry again. For the TV show, Bob being a demon was an easy way of getting this across in TV. And we're here, it's not. Like, it's more on,
Nope.
this is a cycle of abuse that he's living, and the mother is just as complicit in it because she's just letting it go. And,
Yeah.
and it's
I always
that,
hate that character, actually.
well, I am rich racist to start with. I hate all rich people or people like that, like that upper crust suburbia thing. So I'm like, oh, that's who the mom is. And, but also like she could have stopped this. Also, the angels could have stopped it. All sorts of people could have stopped it, but it's kind of like nobody did. But then I guess I was trying to explain Sisyphus to a junior writer at work the other day of like, in order to do day to day as a writer, what you do, you have to embrace the fact that Sisyphus had to love the rock. And if he didn't, then you're never going to make it. Like if you look at it from that's the one thing you can't be cynical about. And,
yeah, that's true.
And I think for her, it's like, yes, she went through this Jobian horrible life where she's used by every man. You said that, it probably wouldn't have gotten any better had she been killed.
No,
and
she probably would have died young anyway.
Yeah.
It's sort of like one of those inevitable things. Like I don't know if you read, And I Don't Want to Live This Life, the book by Nancy Spongen's mother. That girl would have died young anyway.
Yeah.
It doesn't, it is what it is. It's.
Well, even like it always goes back to Prince with us, but for Vanity, like
always would have died young.
Yeah. Like she lived this crazy life, but it's like when she finally got clean, it was like, well, you also damaged your body really bad through the things that you
really bad.
So you're going to live maybe 3 or 4 more years after you get clean. And it's like, but maybe those years are good. I don't know. Maybe that's worth it. Everybody's life's different.
Hi, Sam. Carolyn DeFonseca here, coming down from heaven for a second or two. Just to tell you that Vanity, who I saw at a party in the 3rd heaven the other night, got clean in 1995 and then died in 2016. So it wasn't 3 or 4 years, my chubby little podcaster. Did you know that Sam J. Jones introduced Vanity to the Bible? Now, back to Jen. Let her talk more. Do some listening. Be quiet, Sam.
Like, I feel great sadness for Laura Palmer watching this movie. Okay, I feel happiness that she got to heaven, but as a kid, no surprise I was a weird kid. I had uranophobia, which is a fear of heaven. Like being afraid of what the experience of heaven would be like, and that I was unworthy of it, and that I did not want to be there. And then it would get into this thing of like trying to figure out how long infinity lasts and what happens after death. And I would panic attack myself. And
were you raised Catholic?
Yes, of course.
Oh, okay. That makes sense. Yeah.
Yeah. Also, like Catholic in a time where the Catholic Church was still at war with communism and the Satanic Panic and Jack Chick tracks and, all these religious movies I write about now in jest, seeing them is real.
Oh yeah, no, the 80s were super like shit's coming down and none of us are going to make it. And maybe that's why a lot of us in our generation aren't particularly well off now, because we didn't plan to live past the age of 30.
100% thought I'd make it to 23. And then I had to readjust to 30. Now I'm 53. Should have invested. But
yeah.
But also, I think we're taught very young in our generation. It's like money like time is an abstract concept that we'll never comprehend. And,
yeah.
And now,
what happens when your parents are hippies and they say shit like that? Yeah. It's not good.
My dad told me at a really young age, he said, this is all a play and someone else is watching it. We're just characters in it. I'm like, I'm 11. All right. Like, don't say that kind of stuff to me.
It kind of makes you wonder, though, because David Lynch was a little older. He's quite a bit older than us, but he has that Bob's big boy side of him that, gee shucks, but he seems, by all accounts, to have tapped into the darker side of life and humanity. And what happened to him?
I used to go to Bob's Big Boy restaurant, and I went there for 7 years, every day at 2:30. Not Chinese dentist time. It was a Chinese dentist time, but I went there because I liked to have a chocolate milkshake, and there was a silver goblet shake. It wasn't really ice cream. It was a thing they put into a thing called a Taylor machine, and it would get cold, and they'd pull the lever, and it would come out in kind of a tube of ice cream and fill this goblet. And I liked this chocolate milkshakes like that at 2:30. If you came during lunch, they made so many of them that it never would get cold enough to be ice cream. It would be like soup. So I would go later, and then it would be cold enough. It would be just right. So, and if I went later, I'd be so hungry. You know what I mean? So I had these things for 7 years with a cup of coffee, and I would write on the napkins. It was like having a desk, and you need paper. There's a piece of paper, and you write on it when you get ideas. So the thing is that I stopped going there. I climbed into the dumpster, about year 7, and I found one of these cartons that the milkshakes came from, and every ingredient ended in zine or 8. And there was nothing natural anywhere near that carton. So one day, though, in Bob's, I saw a man come in, and he came in to the counter, and that's all I remember of this man. But seeing him came a feeling, and that's where that Frank Booth came from.
Yeah.
Because we don't.
I don't think you can just be an observer of this stuff. Like it, because I think that's a lot of what happens to Cooper. Like where by being around Bob so much, that's how he splits into these different sides. And it's like there are these two sides in all of us. The really interesting thing, I think, which we didn't get to even in the part that got cut off, is that Deer Meadow, the other town in this. If you thought Twin Peaks was a terrifying town to live in, Deer Meadow is the exact. It's even worse.
Yeah,
like people are downright hostile to everybody that comes there.
Yeah. Yep. And there are a lot of towns like that in America.
It's like the reality that all Americans are living in is the reality that Black Americans have lived in their entire lives. So it's like the way that we see these towns, there's nobody Black in Twin Peaks or in Deer Meadows. So it's like, it could be even worse.
It's so specific to America. And that's where I start to kind of, because I've lived in Britain for 15 years now.
Yeah.
And it's so different. The history is so very different. And people here just don't get it. They don't get how dark things are and how dark they were, and how the branding of America is America's greatest success. And so it's kind of like, I think Lynch knew that. And he needs that photo of Laura Palmer in her prom gown, the perfect little prom queen, homecoming queen. And this is not real.
Yeah.
This is not who this is. This poor girl is being victimized like nightly. And she's lashing out and self-abusing because of the pain that she just can't process it. She can't tell anybody because back then nobody said shit when that happened. It was like nobody talked about it.
It was such a controversial deal when like something about Amelia and TV movies came on and talk about incest where people are like, this isn't really happening in America. Like this is, and it was very controversial. Like, why do we have these movies? And it's like, no, this happens. Like this is.
Yeah, I think it happens a lot more than we would like to admit.
And like that picture you talk about Laura Palmer, I think is really important because I think today, hopefully you don't have as much of this in England, but like, the true crimification of American TV, like that's what these show, it reduces people to one photo that they have and a very similar narrative. Like this person lit up a room. They were the nicest person. They were giving all these things. And then gradually the show's like, yeah, but they also were with this guy and also they were in drugs and also then like there's a lot of like they start to peel back these layers. Mm-hmm. And these shows are wild because like if they did a Twin Peaks one, they would take each one. It's like these shows impugn each of the suspects. And then after 5 minutes, they're like, yeah, but they weren't guilty. Like you just like on TV showed me a picture of this guy, told me all the horrible things he did in his life. And they're like, yeah, but it wasn't him. And this poor innocent angel girl is in heaven now. And she was perfectly clean. But it's like, that's the hard part to get your head around in this, because if Laura Palmer had been abused, I don't think she would. Yes, there was darkness in her town. Maybe she would have been a typical teenage girl.
Typical teenager who experimented with drugs and sex and then went on to college.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
yeah.
not getting out of this town or this life.
No. And if she does leave town, she's going to be on the pole within 6 months and dead within a year, probably. Yeah. But one thing I always found interesting about this movie that I feel was ahead of its time was that Whereas the series, and I think people's fascination with the series was focused on who killed her.
Yeah.
That's the fascination of who the murderer is. This movie focuses on the victim.
Yeah.
And that's rare. You still don't even, especially with true crime, they never really, I had a friend who was murdered by her boyfriend, and the newspaper article was all about him.
Yeah.
And our other mutual friend called me and she was livid. She goes, there's nothing in here about who she was. Nothing. And I was like, yeah. But even in the early 90s, David Lynch understood we need to have an elongated episode, which is what this is. It's a film, but it's also a long episode of Twin Peaks. And we need to just have it be about Laura, because the whole series is really about Laura. Even though you're kind of convinced it's about Cooper, it isn't. It's about Laura.
And I think it was on, if you think of what shows are still big in TV, it's CSI, it's NCIS, Law and Order. And all those shows are very neat hour-long episodes where a team of trusted cops solves a murder, and we don't really get into why this murder happened. And this show is like you could, depending on who did this movie, you could do this as like, well, Laura Palmer was a fallen woman. And it's like, yeah, but why? If you know what I mean? But that's also like,
but that's real life too. Like there was the Fred West murders here in this country and a bunch of other serial killers. And there was that one case where, because most of the victims were prostitutes, the police were like, well, they probably deserved it.
Yeah.
And so it took them years to solve the case, and they solved it by accident. And it's like, it's so awful. It wasn't Fred West. It was the other guy. It was,
there's a lot of those that, because they're sex workers, like they'll release that the victim was a sex worker before they have the whole story. And that's for the families that may or may not have known that, or were coming to grips with it. That's how that person's known. It's similar to like there was the serial killer that was killing, gay men in Times Square in the early 80s, like that.
Oh yeah.
And like the cops just didn't want to investigate. So they're like, well, that's the lifestyle that they have. And it kind of went back to like, well, this guy was into bondage and stuff, so he was probably a maniac, and that's why he was killing them. Like, no, like it was a much deeper thing.
Yeah.
So I think seeing this that's the really hard thing to do within true crime. Some shows do a better job of it, but
some better than others. But
giving you a complete portrait of the person. And I think that's why people, I think, then one maybe not have liked Twin Peaks, because they were expecting like, oh, it's quirky, but we're still going to get like a narrative. Like we're still going to get a beginning, middle, and end of this that makes sense. And
no, we never get that with Lynch.
Yeah. And then with this, they're like, oh, well, this is season 3. And there were so many things left over at the end of season 2, and it got canceled. Like, oh, this is where he's going to wrap it up. And if anything, like, I think this adds like so many other things and pieces and parts to it.
Yeah. I do think though that maybe if Mark Frost had been more involved in this script, that it would have been a little more like the show, a little bit more Sheriff Truman maybe, and but it's fine for what it is. I think it's just like what you said. People at the time were like, well, that's not what I expected.
Yeah.
And now it's screening here at the British Film Institute next Wednesday, and it's sold out within a day as soon as this. And obviously, since Lynch has passed, all of the screenings are selling out. People are but they're revisiting this film in particular, going, this is actually really good. Even if the first 35 minutes doesn't really make a whole lot of sense. Why does David Bowie disappear? We don't know. It's fine. But younger people seem to be embracing this movie a little bit more. And
I think they used to these like weird narratives, like of.
Yeah.
Do you think that if you were falling in space, that you would slow down after a while or go faster and faster? Faster and faster. And for a long time, you wouldn't feel anything. And then you'd burst into fire. Forever. And the angels wouldn't help you. Because they've all gone away.
Where it fits into what they're looking for. And it's also like, I think younger people like stuff that's weird, and maybe, like, for example, middle school kids saying 6'7" all the time here. Like, nobody knows what it means. That's it, but it's like funny to them because it's like those words will come up, and by building some kind of
it's like they're building a mystery. Like, it's like they like that. It's just like they're fing with us.
And when people say, well, what's that mean? Like, well, it doesn't mean anything. Why you get so excited about it? I'm like, well, you said it, and I've been waiting for you to say it.
Yeah.
There's a weird, like, almost Monty Pythonism in that humor.
Yes.
Is this future? Or is this past? Do you know who I am? I am the arm. And I sound like this.
The cast is great. You get David Bowie show up, and you get Kiefer Sutherland, and then like Chris Isaac, like all these people. I had a theory the other day. It's like, I'm not trying to show into everything's dark, but it's like once we lost like Bowie and Prince, it's like
100%
handle stuff as well anymore.
No, and 100%. 2016 felt like something shift.
Yeah.
It was a huge shift, and you know, I always say it jokingly, but when they left, it was like we entered this weird void.
Yeah.
And
I felt like that as a kid about John Lennon too, because like it was.
Yeah.
I remember I was in 3rd grade when that happened. So.
Same. Yeah.
And I remember when Reagan got shot and didn't die. My teacher came in, rolled the TV in, was crying, and was like every other kid was aghast, and I was like, okay. And I
didn't care.
Yeah, but like
when John Lennon died, I was like, shit.
I told my mom, like, I can't go to school tomorrow. I can't be around people, like, you know. And it's, I don't know. It feels like, and even I would say even Lynch dying, like, yeah, I know he was older, and I know.
Yeah, and he had emphysema and all that. Yeah.
But on the other hand, it's like seeing him do the weather report every few days, or just doing weird, and stuff. It's like, oh, just knowing that someone like that, like you said, and has that Bob's Big Boy mentality mixed with creating these worlds of absolute horror that his characters somehow survive, and even if they have to die to survive, is awesome. And like, I don't know, like I think we should hold these artists tight. And
I agree.
Yeah,
and there are not many of them left. To be perfect,
Gil Breen, that's the one I'll hold tight. That's why I hate when people are like, oh, these David Lynch movies are the weirdest ever. Like, that's the worst movie ever. I'm like, oh my god, let's peel back this onion. There's so much other stuff. I
feel like Lynch had some kind of weird, the same way Prince did, and probably John Lennon and Bowie. You have like a direct line to whatever weird energy binds the universe together.
Yeah.
And they could channel that into their creativity. And sometimes it didn't make sense, but that was okay. It was okay.
I think all the time about the mystery guy in Lost Highway.
Ask me.
How'd you get inside my house?
You invited me. It is not my custom to go where I'm not wanted.
Who are you?
Give me back my phone.
I had a nightmare about that the first time I watched that movie.
Yeah. Right? Because that idea that someone you're talking to in your face right now doesn't exist in your reality and can be in your house.
Right.
And be at different times. And also, like, it's a very Lost Highway Lynchian thing where your reality is going to get split, and who you are, Naomi Watts' character, isn't the same person anymore. And it's like suddenly we're watching a whole new movie. Like if you're like inured to the Lynch experience, you're like, yeah, okay, cool. Let's go. And like the other people are like, what am I doing? I'm being confronted by this thing that I thought I knew what was going on. Now you pulled the rug out from under me. And some people, it makes them very upset. And other people, they go, oh, wow, that's awesome. Like that's what.
You know, the one film I haven't actually seen, I need to watch all of his films. There's just a couple I haven't seen. I haven't seen Inland Empire. And I have oddly not seen Eraserhead all the way through. I really need to do that. And it's playing at the BFI next week. They're doing a whole Lynch series. And again, I couldn't get tickets. So I was like, damn it. It's like, because I really want to see it in the cinema with other people, you know, but they'll probably show it at the Prince Charles at some point. So I'll be able to, I don't want to watch that one at home. I want to see that one in the cinema.
You brought up the critical reappraisal of this. And I think it's funny because this is one of my pet peeves. I hate when people have these like 10-minute cheering things at con because it's so performative. Do you remember like, oh, the applause lasted for 27 minutes. Like, what do you do for 27 minutes? Like it's
been a long time.
So like the fact that this got booed at con, like makes me like it even more. Like it makes me more protective of it. Right. Where it's like, those people, they didn't get it. And like, and like they think that they're
above everyone. I think
he's an artist. He says he's naked with the chainsaw running around the house. Me, I think he's a jerk that belongs in Bellevue.
Yeah. They also boo or walk out of David Cronenberg's Crash, which
oh yeah.
You missed the point.
Yeah.
You're not supposed to like what you're seeing.
I also get weirded out by these younger kids that watch movies now though, and they're like, I don't think movies need sex scenes. And like
I took my 30-year-old movie buddy to The Room.
Mm-hmm.
And he got up and left during the sex scenes. And I'm like, really? Somebody told me that at the Nickel in Clerkenwell here in London that somebody got up and walked out of The Night of the Juggler.
Oh, wow.
Because the villain used racial slurs. And I was like, you're okay with the kidnapping part? But that didn't bother you.
You know,
the language bothered you.
I would like him to use the appropriate terms for the people that he is abusing.
He's supposed to be the villain.
Yeah.
He's the bad guy.
You're supposed to hate him.
You're supposed to hate him. And the guy apparently got up and threw his popcorn bucket down and went, I'm done, and walked out. I was just like, oh, I wish I'd been there for that so much.
I love when people get upset at movies. Like, my all-time favorite. Like, I really love it. I want more people to, I remember when that movie, Hail Mary, came out, people were protesting in the streets for it and stuff. Like, that's the stuff that I want back. Like, Howie, who have like, and I've realized that when like, Silent Night Devon, they totally did that themselves. Like, that people weren't really there to protest it.
No.
But I like confrontational cinema. So,
yes. Rewatching this Fire Walk with Me, there were some scenes in it where it was like, Jesus, I'm really terrified watching this. And that's rare. Like, because I've seen so many, but he was I wish he had just outright made a horror movie at one point because he was so damn good at it.
I think Eraserhead's probably close to. And
close, yeah.
What's the one with Nicolas Cage? Wild at Heart.
It sticks with you because they feel like dreams anyway, his films.
When was the first time you saw this movie? Like, what was your first experience with this movie?
I saw it many years after the series ended and the movie came out, because all through the 90s, I worked like 3 jobs and was just too busy to catch up on a lot of stuff. And then later I watched the whole series on VHS, and then I watched the movie, and then I saw The Return about a year after it came out because we got it later here in Britain. By then I was living here, but I couldn't wait. I was like, oh man, The Return, you know. So I watched it right on the heels of the last episode of season 2. Oh. I watched Fire Walk with Me, and I just was like, it really did touch me in a way that's like, I'm like, yeah, I mean, it's just so, it lacks the quirkiness of the series, but I don't understand how, I've never understood how a guy could tap that deeply into the female psyche and be so accurate with it, with the PTSD, and go, you nailed it, Dave. Like, you nailed it.
I wonder if that with people and like...
He must have, or he knew somebody. The only other one I felt that way about, and it's another controversial film, is Adrian Lyne's version of Lolita. I've had girlfriends and I have talked about that movie and said that is the most accurate portrayal of being a 13-year-old girl that I've ever seen on film.
Oh, really? I've never seen it. So is that
she has no idea how powerful she is.
Yeah.
And she has no idea what grave danger she's in. It's like, and the girl is perfect. It's perfect. And it's disturbing. And you hate him. And it's like, he was never meant to be the good guy. Let's be honest. It's beautifully made, well acted. But some of my girlfriends and I were like, that's exactly what it feels like to be a 12 or 13-year-old girl. It's weird. You do things you shouldn't be doing because you don't know any better, but you don't realize that you're kind of more powerful than you think you are, and that predators are they're gonna latch onto that, and you don't realize what you're doing.
Yeah, where it's like the power dynamic shifts very quickly. Very
quickly. And that's why people were so disturbed when that movie came out. Women love that movie that I've talked to. Men hate it because it makes them feel uncomfortable. And again, it's directed by a dude. And I'm like, okay.
It's weird that everybody that's played Lolita in movies, like Dawn McSwain maybe a bit less, but like Sue Lyon, like her career like suffered afterwards. Like she had to go to Italy and Spain to make movies.
Yeah.
Because that was like such a but it's always like the same as Showgirls. Like Elizabeth Berkley got savaged for it. And it's like her career's finally, I guess she's been in stuff now, but it took a long time. I was like, oh, she's the worst actress ever. This is the worst movie ever. The first time I saw Fire Walk with Me is a very weird story.
Okay, go ahead.
I was on a date through the internet. This is when internet dating first started. This is probably 90.
Late 90s? Yeah, or mid 90s. Okay.
Yeah, 96 maybe.
Yeah.
I think so. I got married the first time in 2000, so it's before that. It's probably 98. And I met somebody, and I have my goth proclivities.
So of course, yeah.
And it was
cool though.
Really far away from downtown, like Pittsburgh. It was like the other side of town. But like, this girl like knew a lot of references I liked, and I was like, cool. She's like, hey, why don't you come over and I'll make dinner. And I was like, that's a weird first date coming to someone's house, right? Met some of her neighbors, because of course I'm sure she was worried about me coming into her house too. And we talked, we ate, and she said, do you want to watch a movie? And I said, yeah. She goes, this is my favorite movie. And she put it on, and I'm like, cool. But like, after it was over, like she like wanted to show me her bedroom, and she had like a whip up on the wall and stuff. And I was like, cool. I'm very traumatized by the movie that we just watched, because it's very much like, and I started to think, in my movie head, is she identifying way too strongly with this character without thinking of the, like you said, the power part of it she gets, or like the wanting to become someone else, and but hasn't like yet embraced like
she's working through it.
Yeah, she felt very childlike and like, and some guys would love that, right? And they'd be like,
yeah, that's you. That
side, yeah, and it was just really disturbing, and like something could have happened here, but I'm like, I didn't want it to, and it was just, so like for years, every time I watched this movie, it like brought up in my head of like thrilling to be on this day and to be in like an alien place and someone's, but also like film is so personal to me, to like tell me this is your favorite, but not be able to articulate why, other than, oh, it's cool. Yeah, it's cool, but like why? And like, I don't know, I was already in my movie nerd phase, right?
He may not have been really fully embracing what it was that why she felt connected to it.
Also, yes, you might have been like, hey, I just like, it's weird, and I heard
it's weird and cool. Yeah. And the outfits are cool, and whatever. And the music is cool.
I love Eraserhead. They've never seen it. Like, but it's like, and like even the term Lynch is like a touchstone where you're like, oh, it's a David Lynch movie. And people instantly go, oh yeah. And it's like, but he made a lot of different movies in a lot of ways.
Totally different movies.
Yeah. So it was weird to watch this. I had already seen the 2 seasons of the show. I knew.
Yeah.
I was also an Entertainment Weekly reader at that point in my life. So I was like,
yeah,
tied in. That was like the internet for movie. That and Premiere. We had the
Premiere. I read Premiere every one. Yeah. Fangoria and Premiere and Starlog, and yeah.
I was hyped up for movies to like and Nth Degree. I'm like, well, I can't wait till this comes out. And like today, I'm like, all right. But I'm sure on streaming in a day. So
I'm so used to now at this point being disappointed by things that it's better for me to watch stuff on Tubi, because it's like, if I have no idea and I go in cold, then it's better.
That's why airplane movies are the way to go. Like when you're on an airplane for a long time, you're like, I watched The Strangers too, and I'm like, I'm gonna hate this movie. I did. But like, on the other hand, it's like, I couldn't go anywhere. I was trapped in the seat. And it's like, that's probably a good. And I watched the new I Know What You Did Last Summer. I watched on the plane. I know you hated it. It was like, this is kind of a genre.
Yeah, it wasn't poorly made.
Yeah.
But I was just like, what the? Like,
I'm always obsessed with the fact that the lady that wrote the original one hated the movies. Because like, she's like, I wrote a Scholastic book for kids and they turned it into this. Do you know what I mean? Like, it was like that.
Carolyn, making another quick cameo. Oh, Jen, how many times will Sam say like, or you know what I mean? Like. Samuel, you sound like a stoner. And now, back to the show.
The only scene I can say I definitely loved in the new one, super spoilers, is when, what's-her-name's ghost comes back to talk to the other girl that was a beauty queen.
Yeah, that was kind of cool.
And like her face starts to fall apart. I'm like, oh, this feels like Italian Gothic and a little bit.
That did. There were bits and pieces. I didn't loathe it. I was like, okay. And some of the set pieces were very well directed. But I was just pissed at what they did to Freddie Prinze's character. I was like, that's not right.
To all of it too. And it's like,
he never would have done that. It's sort of like when people complained about what they did to Luke Skywalker in the last trilogy. Like, no, that's not the same guy. Like,
Diane, it's 4:20 p.m. I'm standing here at Wind River near the location where the body of Teresa Banks was found. Diane, this case gives me a strange feeling. Not only has Special Agent Chester Desmond disappeared without a trace, but this is one of Cole's Blue Rose cases. The clues that were found by Special Agent Desmond and Agent Stanley have led to dead ends. The letter that was extracted from beneath the fingernail of Teresa Banks gives me the feeling that the killer will strike again. But like the song goes, who knows where or when?
I think the thing that I reacted to was like, so much of that movie went from being like a slasher to like a movie about like alcoholism and like anti-alcoholism and anti-drugs.
And nobody, and it was sort of anti-sex too. It was sort of like, what is all this puritanical bullshit in this movie? Like,
it's like these, I get it, right? Like I hate kids. 1, 2, and I also hate rich people. So this helps, but it's like, how could this happen again? Like, we've grown up in this town. Like, we know. Why are you standing on the road during the fireworks? Why are these things happening? Also, like, the coincidences that have to happen for this person to die so that the other girl can be, I was on her side. I was like, you know what? These girls, they dropped you. They didn't want you in their life. Also, like, weird, like,
Okay, this is Carolyn again, and this is painful. I'm going to ring a bell every time Sam says like, just to make him remember that he needs to think before he speaks. As my friend Nico would say, what a clown.
There's that like lesbian makeout scene. And like, I know we talk all the time. It's like, oh, young people are upset about sex in movies. That was extraneous. I'm like, as someone that loves Jess Franco movies, is weird for me to say, but it was like, why are we adding this in other than showing, well, she's a bad girl now and she doesn't care about herself because she randomly hooks up with girls on a plane. Like, or is she in control of her identity? And that's how we should look at it.
I was uncertain about that, but it felt like, given all the other things, the anti-sex messages and the
whenever she's in bed with,
and then she missed this girl in a plane and just met. And I'm like, what the am I watching?
Also, when she's in bed with the guy, the white knight boy that loves her, and she's like, choke the out of me. And he's like, no. And it's like,
I know. I was like, there's something really weirdly puritanical and masochistic going on in that movie.
Yeah.
that just made me uncomfortable.
You can feel this way and want this and not be a bad person and not be damned.
Choke me. Punish me. I deserve it.
Wait, what?
Never mind. We don't have to do that.
Right? Like, and it's, so if I'm like a young person seeing this, I'm like, oh, these things I'm feeling, like, they're wrong. Like, I'm a horrible person for feeling this way. And like, why is this movie doing this to me? Like, also, like, the girl who is in recovery, putting her life back together, is the killer. And you're like,
which I hated. I really liked her. She's my favorite character.
She was my favorite character too. And I'm like, and also spoiler, she lives. And like, I think it's like they put together the Avengers at the end, like, well, I gotta go get Brandy to kill this bitch. And like,
Well, I guess it's true what they say. Every time a bell rings, a rotund podcasting movie nerd says like, "Oh, Sam, you little ponce."
really, you said like the set pieces are nice.
Yeah, it was well filmed and
but
everything was okay. And, you know,
if it came out in the 90s, would it be, also, I'm a jerk because I like the movies that come out of Scream more than Scream. So I like Urban Legend. I Know What You Did Last Summer. Like, I think they're like well-crafted movies. And also they're filled with pretty people. Like, that's why I like my genre. I want you to bring in fashionable people and I want you to kill them.
I also want people to perform bestialities for me.
And that's what we got to see, the sets of the stuff when we were down in South Carolina. And I was really excited about watching it on the plane. And it was a good plane movie. Because there was at no point where I was like, it's like also someone had spoiled and I'm spoiling it for everybody, the Freddie Prinze Jr. turn, which feels.
I'm sorry. Was it me that's.
No, it wasn't you. No. Because it was like, I think it was like an AV Club article where they're like, why Freddie Prinze was the bag. I'm like, put it in the body of the article.
Well, yeah, not right at the top. Yeah.
Yeah. And it's like, I get it, but.
Like, he's old, so he has to be the bad guy. That's kind of how I felt. Like, everything old is evil. And also, I was just like, oh, Jesus Christ.
Like, there was a whole bunch of people saying about what's her name from the original. Like, well, she looks really heavy now and she looks old. I'm like, she's
Jennifer Love Hewitt?
Yeah,
she looked great.
And she's a woman in her 40s. Like,
She looked great.
Yeah. And
I still have hair envy. I've always loved her hair forever. I'm like, man,
she's really good in it and she's fun in it. And like,
people, I don't understand. I've never felt like tell me if you think this is true. When we were younger, like I had a really good friend who was like 62 that I worked with when I was 22. And I listened to old music, quote unquote, and, Hendrix and Joplin and all that shit and Led Zeppelin. And I watched old movies. And now it seems like there's this really big divide that I just didn't see coming. And I feel like a little bit lost. Oh, younger movie buddy, because you always pick movies that are, well, it's British because they're naff. And I'm like, Luke, we went to see Longlegs together and it was a piece of shit.
Daddy, mommy, unmake me and save me from the hell of living. Jenn Upton, you Jezebel. I make this Longlegs movie for you, girl, and you keep hating on it.
And he loved it. And I was like, okay, that's cool. You can like different, we don't have to love the same things that we go to see together. But like, I knew it was too much. And Adrian warned me because we shouldn't have taken him to see Messiah of Evil. He wasn't ready for that. Yes, I shouldn't put people in boxes. That's correct. I did have a young guy approach me. I had my Burial Ground shirt on.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
And he was like, oh, that looks great. And I'm like, yeah, you need to be ready for this one though.
For the prophecy of the Black Spider.
Yeah. Yeah. And Michael, I was like, just so you know.
Yes, darling, what is it? Mother, this cloth smells of death. Why, it's nothing but an old rag, Michael.
But he was in a heavy metal pub, and I was like, he's probably going to be okay with this. I was like, if he's here, he's probably going to be okay.
That movie's the funny light side of incest, not like the movie that we just talked about. That's the like, why does Michael love his mom so much? Also, like, why everybody's scummy in that movie.
Yes.
I love whenever, like,
my favorite line in that movie is, you look just like a little whore.
That's what I was just going to say. Like, also, that laundry had to be dusty. They pull it out of, like, an old cupboard in a castle, and she's like, it fits.
But I like that look.
I like that. And then the son walks in, like.
I warned this kid. I was like, if you're going to dive in, his girlfriend's standing there. Yeah. And I said, are you going to watch it together? Is she into horror movies? And he goes, well. And I'm like, just maybe watch it alone.
Yeah.
Just not, yeah. If you're not ready, you got to know your partner.
The most uncomfortable film recommendation I ever had to do was like, I was in an adult room at a video store and a couple came up to me and said, what movie should we rent? And I was like, why are you asking me? Like, this is a candid camera. And like, he handed me a handful of the ones. I'm like, if you rent these movies, she's never going to watch one of these with you again. Like, you need to think like, what does she want to see? And you should take yourself out of this equation. You should You know what I mean? Maybe just go out and get like an Adrian Lynn movie outside. Don't get one of these movies because this is not going to give, you want romance. And he was like, oh, wow, thanks so much. And then, I remember my ex-wife at the time, and I walked out, she was like, what are you doing? And I said, I just helped somebody. I just helped a marriage. Like I feel like I might have saved that marriage. Well, thanks so much for coming on and talking this rambling. Maybe I didn't record all of it discussion. Maybe Carolyn D. Fonseca will come in and like do a recap of what was missed.
That video store story was the limit.
Oh, hello, bellissima. Look at you, pretty baby. Miss Caroline, it is me, Rocco Siffredi. And I must tell you, I grew up with you doing the voice in Profundo Rosso and Lager Sadi's Castrat Commandantur, and as Olga in the Suspiria, and Ahita Wilson in Orinoco Prigioniere del Sesso. But please, my friend Sam here, he may talk way too much about the gialli and the gothic horror and the nudie cutie, but his heart is in the right place. He helped that couple. And his heart is in a place where it's surrounded by fat. Oh, Sam, your arteries clogged up, no? Hey, Caroline, maybe I see you when I get to heaven, no?
I mean, if adult male actors can make it through the pearly gates, you have my permission to look me up and down.
Yeah.
There's some new ghosts on the show. I have a Charles Bronson ghost too that might come in.
Hey, Sam, it's after 5, and Jill and I are just about to go to dinner with John Saxon, Henry Silva, Jimmy Kahn. Mitchum are meeting us, and they're so grizzled. They're going to kick an angel in the halo, then get a steak all burned up and gnaw on it. As for me, I'll be getting chicken. I like chicken. But you can't just call on me at any time. Oh, yeah. I saw the big guy's son today. You know what I said? You believe in Jesus? He said, yes, my son. And I said, good, because you're going to meet him. Good kid. Anyways, get back to your Palmcast or whatever.
Well, thanks for spending so much time with me today.
Sure, yeah. Thank you.
Yeah. Looking forward to your show. Let me know what I else can do to help on the music, too.
I'll be awkward and ask you on the air if you'll be a guest.
Yeah.
At some point. Not for what movie yet, but...
Whatever you want me to talk about. And I'll try not to talk so much.
No, it's okay. I got to get my editing chops, so it'll be good for me.
Oh, my God. It'll just be a whole podcast of you cutting out me saying like and Hans and like and me saying, you know what I mean?
Thank you for listening to BNS About Movies. You can visit the website at bnsaboutmovies.com. Email Sam at bnsaboutmovies@gmail.com. You can also send him a donation on the Ko-Fi link in the show notes. Listen to this bouncy song right here. It's nice, not nasty. No, you're not nasty. Anyways, from Jenn Upton, Caroline de Fonseca, Charles Bronson, me, Rocco Siffredi, and Sam Panico, arrivederci! Ti ho mai detto quanto vorrei scoparmi Edwige Fenech o Marisa Mel? È così cattiva ragazza. Comunque, grazie per avermi invitato, Sam. So che ami i film e spero che piacciono anche a tutte e 10 le persone che ascolteranno.